Hello, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Trina, and we're the D&D Bears.
So last week we did a Hunger Games D&D event where all of our past characters and some of our friends' characters went head to head and killed each other. If you'd like to see who won that, we'll have a card up here in the video somewhere. But while we were filming that, we were like, nobody really knows about these characters. So we thought it'd be kind of fun just to take a video and just have a little random number generator here. And randomly generate a number, and based on that number, we have each character lined up with numbers, and we'll just tell you about the random character we happen to land on. And yeah, so we're excited to share some of these character stories with you. So without further ado,
let's roll the number.
30. I landed on Raven.
Me.
Alright, the Raven of the Woods.
She was a character that I played. She's a Kalashtar druid. Raven actually wasn't given a name at birth. She was just called a thing or a scumbag or whatever by her mother, who just kind of used her for labor and kind of kicked her out of the house a lot. So she had to spend a lot of nights just out in the woods sleeping because she wasn't allowed inside the house because of her abusive mother. Eventually, though, she got a kind of spirit friend that came along and comforted her and told her everything was going to be all right. And in those cold nights that she had to stay outside in the cold and in the woods, kind of kept her warm and played with her and made her happy when she was just a kid.
So it's kind of like a twist on what Kalashtar are,
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, so eventually it was kind of like, when can I get out of this situation? And I think it was when she was 17, she left. And she didn't really know how to feed herself or anything. She was just kind of starving for a little bit as she tried to learn how to live in the forest and, partake from the forest. But eventually she learned, and that spirit was there helping her every step of the way, so she never died, though it was hard. And she just lived a lot of years in the forest, just learning to know it and learning to feel it and eat from it and live with it.
And eventually she ended up next to a town. And she would often go in, and she transformed into a raven a lot, raven into a raven. But it worked well for her. And she would go into the village and, I think occasionally she would steal stuff, right?
Yeah, she would steal food and...
Yeah, just to survive.
Yeah.
But more importantly, she developed a love for playing pranks on the townspeople. Now that could be anything from just moving an item from one place to another. That could be stealing a chicken and putting it on top of somebody's roof. It was absolutely anything. But soon the townspeople began to become superstitious of the raven in the woods, because a raven would be seen around town, and shortly thereafter something would be wrong. Some prank will have been done. And the only one who laughed was Raven.
So that's how she got her name. She didn't have a name before. Her mom didn't really name her. So she was like, they just keep calling me Raven of the Woods, Raven of the Woods. I guess that's my name now. So yeah, she kept pranking these people, some intentionally, some unintentionally. But eventually she flew into one of their churches and she found a book of some gods. And she started reading it, and she decided to latch on to a goddess of nature and also a god of mischief. She started to worship them in her various different ways, and after some time, eventually decided to leave the town. She got a feeling that she needed to be somewhere else.
And shortly thereafter, that's kind of how she started our original campaign, or our campaign. Is that was kind of her backstory. So she went and she met with the group, and throughout their journey, she continued this mischievous prank. I'm sure you've seen our prank gone wrong, little story video. That really happened while we were playing. She and some of the things that they mentioned in that video, she Vladimir, which was our little evil sorcerer guy. One night she just braided his hair, and he thought that was braided his beard, and he thought it was so mischievous that he kept it that way for quite some time. And one time she had a dead body and she threw it on Ember.
Her own dead body.
Yeah.
And she would, take sap and gel people's hair up and, various things. But that was a lot of fun to play. Something I feel like isn't normally done as a druid. Because I feel like normally they're like, oh, I did that in the forest. And she did, but it's just like a prankster and kind of a more mischievous
she wasn't
person.
Just out for the woods and that's it.
Yeah.
So, and she was really cool. And I think at the end of that campaign, everyone got stupid powerful. We were still pretty new to GMing, and I was the DM at the time, and I was just like, yeah, I'll give you everything you want. And I think in the end, she became the nature god of the world.
Yeah. All the gods had been taken down, and they were kind of reestablishing them, and she became the new nature goddess.
So I'm sure the world is going to be pranked a lot. You got this lady that is very nature, but I would argue that being a mischievous god would have been a better fit.
Maybe.
Alas, perhaps two will merge into one. But yeah, that's the Raven of the Woods. Okay, so time for a second character. Let's see what we get. Number 40.
Oh, that is Zira and Z Beck, who are twins. They are both Water Genasi bards. Both of them are same class, same race. And they actually grew up under the ocean as kind of these siren-like people who would drag sailors down and kill them and do whatever sirens or mermaids or whatever they do.
Yeah, Z Beck, out of the two, he was kind of more of a long-range fighter. He liked, actually, his signature move was actually sleeping. I feel like he didn't sing sailors to their death. He just made them fall asleep, and then they died. They
crashed their boats and died,
or something like that. I think every single session that we played with them, and we only played 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Every single session, he used sleep and put a whole bunch of enemies, sleep. Sleep is a really powerful spell early on, when you're low level at least. And he used it all the time. Unfortunately, he was not constitutionally good at all, so he could only take a hit or two. But anyways, Z Beck he's very flamboyant. He loves flirting, and he loves putting people to sleep.
And Zira, so they had left the ocean, kind of deciding that they didn't want to be a part of that lifestyle anymore, and they wanted to try and be better people.
One of the reasons we did that actually was because we were going to a local place, DnD group at our college, and they're like, you cannot be evil. And we're like, okay, that's fine, but they were evil. And so that's why our little line of where they're trying to make themselves a little better came from. Is because they are now good.
They didn't do anything outrageous, but there was a lot of, suggestions, just but what if we killed them, type of things.
Yeah, it's like, I think that merchant just, cheated us out of some money. Oh, yeah, we probably shouldn't do anything, but what if we stole everything they have? What if we just chop their head off? Which
was promptly by the group, just no? And then I was like, oh, you're right, let's go.
Okay, all right. We were just joking. Just testing your alignment.
But yeah, they still liked fighting. They still or Zira did at least, fighting and murder, but in like a good way for the most part.
Yeah, so it was definitely interesting. They went on a whole bunch of just totally random adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we were at this local place where every week was just a different one-shot. So totally random adventures, no coherent story, but it was just very interesting to first of all play an evil bard who's trying to be good. It was very interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the story of Zira Z Beck. Pretty simple, but they were fun to play.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed hearing about these two characters. Hopefully they can maybe even give you some inspiration of a character you might want to play yourself.
Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.
And we will see you next time.
Bye!
Bye!